Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back, Calendar with Droid Life, and we've got in front of us Galaxy S8 Plus and Galaxy S8. Of course, these are just coming out this week, and our orders happen to show up a little bit early. And now I know Tim's already gone through a sort of a special unboxing of this sort of Unbox Your Phone experience that Samsung was kind enough to send over to us, but these are now retail units, and so we got to do it. This is the Galaxy S8. We've got to do an official unboxing. So let's go ahead and do that now. This is our unboxing of the Galaxy S8 and the Galaxy S8 Plus. So you've got pretty typical Samsung packaging here. Obviously S8 Plus here on the left side, and it just says S8 Plus. It does say Galaxy S8 Plus up there as well, and 64 gig down here, since that is the minimum storage you can buy on this phone, which is actually pretty awesome because 32 gig at this point is not exactly enough. So down here, color, this is orchid gray. These are actually both orchid gray. And by the way, it's orchid for those of you who keep saying orchid. I don't know what that is. It's orchid gray, just so that we're clear here. On the back here, you do have a simple sort of rundown of specs. So S8 Plus, you got 4G LTE, that massive 6.2 inch full rectangle or 6.1 inch rounded corner Quad HD plus Super AMOLED display, 12 megapixel dual pixel camera on the back, 8 megapixel front camera, IP68 dust and water resistance, and iris scanner. It's got Samsung Knox and that 64 gig storage with SD card support, 4 gig RAM, Samsung Pay, wireless charging, runs Android, and it comes with AKG earphones. I know there was some confusion over that in our other Unbox Your Phone sort of experience, but the US models do indeed show you that again right there. AKG headphones in the box. So yes, you do get AKG headphones. So that's the S8. That's the S8 Plus. Here is the S8. Again, same exact packaging, just says S8, no plus there. There's the name again there. And this is also 64 gig storage minimum. So these phones are identical outside of display size. So even if we turn it onto the back, it's that same list of specs, although the difference here is 5.8 inch full rectangle or 5.6 inch rounded corner Quad HD plus Super AMOLED display. The rest of the stuff's the same. Storage, RAM, cameras, dust and water resistance, all of that stuff. Even the color, which again is orchid. It's orchid, people. All right, so now that we're on to that, let's go ahead and get these things opened up and get our hands back on some of these, retail units for the first time. So grab a knife here. Well, let's slide off. These are sleeves that slide off here. We'll slide these off of each phone. Set them back there so they look cool. So we do have stickers that we need to slice through, hence the little baby nubby knife here. So cut that. Should have done the trick. Yep, it did. And we'll do this one as well. It's been a while since we've done a double unboxing, so bear with me as I hiccup my way through this. So, all right, we'll do each at the same time, sort of. So, stack them here. All right, so S8 Plus, S8, obviously, one's bigger than the other. Phones, though, we'll sort of pick up if we can and sort of set aside just to show you guys other stuff in the box. So there's SIM and stickers and all of that stuff. We don't necessarily need that. Also in the box, though, we do get, this would be guides in here. You can hear it shaking around. Guides. If anybody needs a guide, this is where you will find it. You do have SIM removal tools right there. So we've got a video up that tells you exactly how to remove the SIM, the SIM tray and put a SIM in along with the SD card, since those are in the same slot. This is the tool you will use to do that. It's called the eject pin. I call it a SIM removal tool. But down here, just because we're nerds, you'll see here SMG 955U and SMG 950U. Those are the specific model numbers for this phone. And I believe those are the only model numbers you'll find in the US, even though there are sort of specific carrier versions. I think they've just been maybe network tied or something, but 955U and 950U are basically the single model you'll find throughout the US. So in the box then we have, look at this, guys, black fast chargers from Samsung. I don't know why that's so exciting, but they've been sending us those white chargers for so long that it feels so nice to finally have a different color. Or black's not a color, I think people say that, but a different option other than those white guys. So anyway, we're switching to black charge now, and they are adaptive fast chargers, by the way, so you can charge these phones ridiculously fast. So you also have this little tip right here. So these phones run USB Type-C. So this is a USB Type-C tip, and on the back side it is micro USB. Yes, indeed it is. Sorry, pause there. It is micro USB. So if you need to transfer from your old phone to the next, you can plug in your micro USB here, plug this in, connect, do all of that stuff. You guys get that. This is your USB connector. So this is your USB Type-C, and this is a connector. So as you're doing that transfer, you would essentially hook one cable into here, into phone, and use this adapter. And we can probably explain that further if you really need us to, but that's essentially what those little guys are. So we'll stuff those back in there. So let's see. In here, you do have black USB Type-C cable. So we're continuing that trend of everything inside the box being black now. So USB Type-C cable here. And then, of course, here. Again, apologies for the confusion on this, but here are your AKG earbuds. So pretty high-end earbuds now included with Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus. Phones are obviously expensive at $850 for the S8 Plus and $750 for the S8. Like if you buy them on Verizon, they might be $20-30 cheaper, but we're talking expensive phones, but they are including now really nice phones. So Samsung bought Harman, who owns and produces AKG headphones, higher end headphones. You guys get the deal there. So they're including these now, which is really cool. And then these must be, yep, these are additional earbud tips. So if the ones on here don't fit your ears, you do have some additional ones there. So that is pretty much it in terms of what's in the box. So let's get all of that stuff out of the way. And let's get these phones back over here. So let's get these trays out of here as well. Trays be gone. All right, so here are the two phones in hand for the first time for me since the Galaxy S8 announcement thing. And they feel really, really nice. So we talked about this a little bit at the launch event, and let's peel some plastic off. And we just talked about how crazy premium these things feel. Whew, they still feel that good. Maybe if not better. I've been using the Moto G5 Plus for a little while, so I'm kind of coming from a lower end or mid-rangey kind of phone, but take some plastic off there. But these things just feel ridiculously premium when you compare to those. So I take all the stickers off. And by the way, you can do that. I know some of you are scared to take off stickers, but take them all off. Your phone doesn't need stickers on it. Don't feel afraid. So let's take that off. Should be one more. This one up front here is really thin, by the way. So, all right, stickers be gone. Yeah, these phones feel great. I'm going to have to wipe these off with some cloths, but this is the orchid gray color. I know it's sort of tough to pick up. I'm trying to give you some reflections to show it. It's sort of a soft purple, a metallic purple, and then the front is all black because, well, you don't really have any bezel there, and so it's actually a really nice sort of infinity display look. So S8 over here, S8 Plus on the left. In hand, this S8, so it's got a 5.8-inch display. This phone doesn't feel like a phone that has an almost 6-inch display. It is really crazy, by the way, the fact that this phone in hand feels like a phone that's, I would almost say borderline small. I mean, it feels smallish in hand. I think it's because it's so skinny yet long, but you can really get your hand on here. The S8 Plus, even as with its 6.2-inch display, which sounds huge, really nice feel in hand as well. Even though it is large, it doesn't feel ridiculously enormous. It's big, don't get me wrong, but yeah, the phones feel great. So let's do a quick tour, though. Talk a little bit about specs, and we may fire up one, but we're going to have plenty more to talk about there. So here's the S8 Plus. Again, rundown specs. You got Qualcomm Snapdragon 835 processors in each phone. So the 835 processor is Qualcomm's newest high-end processor. This is essentially the first phone on the planet to be launched with that. Samsung, I believe, is producing the 10-nanometer chip for Qualcomm, and so it probably makes sense that they would get first dibs, but it's got that. Again, you have 6.2-inch display here, and it is that sort of dual curved look. We're not calling this an edge display, it's an infinity display. So, but it is essentially a little bit curved on each side, so you do have that really rounded body where it actually kind of rounds from the top all the way to the back in sort of this continuous flow, which is really cool. And Samsung's obviously done a really nice job of sort of improving that over the years. They are both quad HD displays, though, so you're looking at 2960 by 1440, which is a weird sort of ratio. We're sort of moving towards this 2-to-1 ratio, that elongated feel. LG was the first to do that with the G6, and now Samsung's on board with that as well. You have a 3,500 milliamp hour battery in the Plus, 3,000 milliamp hour in the regular, 64 gig storage in each, 4 gig RAM in each, SD card slots in each, fast wired and wireless charging in each. If we flip over to the back, you do have that 12 megapixel camera on the rear here. And I do believe this is an updated sensor. While it's still 12 megapixel at f1.7, it is a newer and slightly improved sensor over last year's S7. You do have heart rate sensor over here, and you do have a fingerprint reader in this sort of controversial spot here just to the right. Why it's not in the center, I don't think any of us know. Maybe Samsung was looking for some balance up top here in this area, but the fingerprint reader is there, which is a little bit odd. And you'll notice that means it is no longer on this front chin where Samsung has had it for years and years and years. So it's something we'll have to get used to. You do have 8 megapixel camera up top, up front, same on both phones. You have IP68 dust and water resistance on these phones. So you can dunk them, wash them off, whatever you want to do. The water is not going to get through there, but should you pop out that SIM tray up top or something like that, just make sure you get that nice and flush back in there to keep that water resistance on there. If we look at the bottom, you'll see USB Type-C port. So you do have Type-C here. The first Type-C Samsung phone we got last year was the Note 7 rather than the S7s. And then, of course, that went away. So we're kind of looking back at the first Samsung flagships with Type-C. Bottom-facing speaker. And, yep, headphone jack is still here on both phones, by the way. The smaller one, they didn't like ditch that or something. They both do have headphone jack, which is awesome. What else? We got AC, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 5.0, which we will definitely show you more of later. But Bluetooth 5.0, the first phones with Bluetooth 5.0, which the biggest feature I would say is that you can stream to 2 different speakers. You can essentially take 2 Bluetooth speakers made from different people and turn them into your own like stereo pair of speakers, which is really cool. And being the first, it's just kind of cool to see that. You have iris scanners up top as well. And then of course the phone comes in a bunch of colors like black, this orchid gray, silver, and then overseas you'll see it in gold and coral blue. Although I wouldn't be surprised if that coral blue sneaks its way over as like a Verizon or Best Buy exclusive or something like that, or they just do it to refresh the model later on. But that's pretty much it. Let me run through some setup real quick and just give you a quick look at some software, and we'll do it right now. And look at that magic of time there. So we are all booted up here on a regular S8. I'm actually going to be testing the S8. We're going to hand this S8 Plus over to Tim here shortly after this video. So anyways, you can see now with the screen on, this is just it's a pretty crazy look overall. You just have all display. And then of course, one of the things Android nerds care about is this stuff down here. That would be the on-screen navigation buttons, which again means that fingerprint readers over here on the back side, and there's no longer a home button or capacitive button. So longtime Samsung users are probably gonna have to get used to that. As Android nerds who've used Pixel and Nexus phones and things like that for a long time, who prefer this, it's gonna be an easy switch, but it'll be interesting to see what this does to other people. So you do have Samsung's newest version of, well, I would call it TouchWiz, but it may have a more official name like Samsung Experience or something like that now. But, new app drawer where you swipe up to get it, just sort of Google and Pixel-esque. Swipe around in between all of this stuff. Of course, if you swipe over here, you do have Bixby, which we'll talk much more about at another time. And you do have that Bixby button right there. So Bixby has a dedicated button where you just click that at any time and it will launch Bixby. Limited out of the gate in terms of what it does software-wise or voice. I guess I should say voice is not in Bixby right now, and it will come later on, but right now it just does a couple other tricks. Here is the software. So if you run a Galaxy S7 that's been updated recently, you had a Note 7, the settings and all that stuff will look fairly familiar to you. It is running Android 7.0, not 7.1, which is the newest version of Android, but it is the Samsung Experience 8.1. Has the March security patch so far, but I believe they're already pushing an update that includes the April security patch. And that's mostly it. Obviously, I don't have the phone fully set up, so I can't show you a whole bunch of stuff here, but it's a crazy look. We're really excited, obviously, to start testing these fully. Samsung has the biggest release of the year when it drops the new Galaxy S line on us. So this is it, and they've kind of gone crazy here. There's the always on display, which is back once again. So anyways, lots more to come. We will I guess you should just expect for an overwhelming amount of Galaxy S8 coverage. I hope you guys are fine with that. But we want to start it off here with this official unboxing of retail units. So Galaxy S8 Plus here, Galaxy S8 in this hand in Orchid. Again, Orchid Gray. If you guys have comments, questions, or want us to test anything in particular, we will certainly do that. Otherwise, we're Droid Life. Peace.